Hello, and welcome to another lesson in biology. በዛሬው lesson we're going to talk about the cells, the different types of cells, and we're going to cover that. So let's start with the cell. So the term cell came from the Latin word cellula. إذا የመጣው ከላቲን word ነው ከcellula የሚል ቃል ነው የመጣው cellula ማለት small room ማለት and the cell is the basic structural and functional units of all living organisms. A cell is the smallest unit of life and is often called the building block of life. ሁሉም plant which any organism is made up of cell, one or more cells ሊሰራ ይችላል. So based on the number of cells, we can classify organisms into two. Unicellular organism እንላቸዋሉ, multicellular organism እንላቸዋሉ. Unicellular ስማቸው እንደሚጠቅሰው they're made up of one cell. Multicellular ስንል ደግሞ ብዙ ሴል ያላቸው ማለት ነው። So እዚህ ጋር እንደምታዩ unicellular organisms የምንላቸው they consist of a single cell. ለምሳሌ Chlamydomonas የሚባለው እና algae, protozoa, fungi, yeast, bacteria እነዚህ they're composed of one cell. አሁን እዚህ ጋር የምታዩት it's a picture of a yeast. Multicellular organisms የምንላቸው ደግሞ they're composed of many cells. ብዙ ሴል የተሰሩ ናቸው። ለምሳሌ እኛ ራሳችንን መውሰድ እንችላለን. We human beings, we have a lot of cells. ለምሳሌ we have red blood cells አይደለ? We have skin cells, we have nerve cells. እነዚህ more deeply በኋላ እናያለን. So the difference between a unicellular organism and a multicellular organism is that unicellular organisms, they have a single cell, while as multicellular organisms የምንላቸው they have multiple cells. So the cell, there are three main parts of a cell. ሶስት ማወቅ ያለብን ፓርቶች አሉ. Cell membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus. So cell membrane የምንለው ይሄኛው the black thing you see እዚህ ጋር, this is the cell membrane. ከዛ በኋላ we have the nucleus which contains the genetic material of a cell, and then we have the cytoplasm. This is the fluidy part of the cell, and then ደግሞ ብዙ chemical reactions ይከናወናሉ. So the structures of plants and animals suddenly. Cells, as I said before, the tiny structural units of life. Now, they're made up of different parts. And in different parts, the subcellular structures organelles and these organelles in the cytoplasm. And the different subcellular structure carry out different functions in the cell. So it tells you different structure which are used. We have mitochondria, we have ribosome. Mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell. We have ribosome, which is used for protein synthesis. There's chloroplast, which is used to produce food in plants. Detail in that. Again, the plants and animals, they share these common features. So these things, the cell membrane, the nucleus, and the cytoplasm ምንላቸው ፕላንትስም አኒማልስም ውስጥ ይገኛሉ. So similarities scenario between these two types of cells. ምን ብያለሁ? They have the cell membrane, they have the nucleus, and they also have the cytoplasm. The cell membrane, as I said before, it's a thin membrane ነው እና ደግሞ ሌላ ስሙ ምን ተብሎ ይጠራል? Plasma membrane ተብሎ ይጠራል. And it controls the materials that get in and out of the cell. የሚገባውና የሚወጣው ከኤንቫይሮንመንቱ ከውጪ ወደ ውስጥ የሚገባውና ከውጪ ደግሞ ወደ ውስጥ የሚገባውን ይቆጣጠራል ማለት ነው. And then we have the nucleus. The nucleus controls reproduction. It controls reproduction because the genetic material of a cell is found inside of this nucleus. ለዛ reproduction control ያደርግልናል. The next one is the cytoplasm. As I said before, different structure አሉት, different organelles አሉት. እነዚህ ደግሞ different chemical processing ይሰራሉ ማለት ነው. So the next one is the difference between the plants and the animal cell. So similarities አይተናል, difference ደግሞ ነው. So the first one is the animals have no cell wall. Plants ምንላቸው they have a cell wall. እና ይሄ cell wall it's made up of a cellulose. ለዛ it's a protective layer. Cell wall ምንለው it's a protective layer. The next one is the animal cell, they don't have chloroplast, while plant cells have chloroplast. ይህ chloroplast ደግሞ የሚጠቅማቸው ለምንድን ነው? የራሳቸውን ፉድ ፕሮዲዩስ እንዲያደርጉ or ደግሞ ሲንተሳይዝ እንዲያደርጉ ነው። Chloroplast contains a green pigment known as chlorophyll which absorbs light from the sun. የዘለታ ጊዜ የራሳቸውን plants, this is how they produce their own food. Plants, they can produce their own food. Animals ግን they can't produce their own food. The cells have a smaller size. So animal cell ላይ እዚህ ጋር ያሉት the size comparison ስናረግ plant cell they have a larger size than that of the animal cell. Also animal cells they have a vacuole ግን ደግሞ it's not really large. Plant cell ግን ደግሞ they have a large central vacuole አላቸው ማለት ነው። አሁን እዚህ ጋር ስናይ animal cell ለምሳሌ እዚህ ጋር እንደምናየው there is no cell wall አይደለ? እዚህ ጋር ግን plant cell ስናይ they have a cell wall and this cell wall is made up of cellulose. ለዛ ነው የሆነ rigid የሆነ structure ያላቸው። እዚህ ጋር ግን እንደምታያቸው they don't have a rigid structure. Different we can see like አሁን እዚህ ጋር ለምሳሌ they have chloroplast አላቸው። እዚህ ጋር ግን chloroplast የለም። The animal cell they have centrosome. Plant cell ላይ ግን centrosome የለም። So difference አላቸው ማለት ነው between the plant cell and the animal cell. Okay, so the next topic is looking at cells. So የተለያዩ different type of cells አሁን እናያለን. So before that let's start by defining some terms. So the first one is scanning objective. So scanning objective ምንለው it's the low power objective used to scan the slide in order to spot the specimen to be observed. So ምንድነው እዚህ ጋር this specimen ምንለው መጀመሪያ ኤግዛማይን የሚደረገው ኦርጋኒዝም ነው ማለት ነው። እና ይሄ ኦርጋኒዝም ምን ላይ ነው የሚቀመጠው? the slide ላይ ይቀመጣል። ከዛ በኋላ ስላይዱን ደግሞ ማይክሮስኮፕ ላይ አድርገን ማየት እንችላለን ማለት ነው። Another term we need to know is stain. So stain ምንለው it's a dye and it's used to color and make visible the whole or part of a specimen under the microscope. አንዳንድ parts of the cell አይታዩም clearly እዛ stain ስናደርገው ግን more clearly ልናያቸው እንችላለን። So stains they're coloring agents. The next one is wet mount. So here ደግሞ it's the process during which water is used as mounting medium to examine a species under study. Actually, let's talk about an epidermal cell የሚለውን. Let's try to see this. So generally the surface of a leaf is covered by thin layers which are tough skin cells called the epidermis. The upper and the lower epidermis. We're talking about the plants እዚህ ጋር. So እዚህ ጋር እንደምታዩ plants they have the upper epidermis አላቸው. ከዛ ደግሞ we have the lower epidermis. በእነሱ መሃል we have the mesophyll tissue የምንለው we have the spongy and the palisade layer. የኛው grade 8 ላይ more detail ታጠናላችሁ. Again just to give an overview the palisade it's packed እና ደግሞ chloroplast አለው እዚህ ጋር. The palisade ደግሞ the spongy ደግሞ air movement የሚጠቅመው. Unlike plant cell, all animal cell lack the rigid and protective cover, the cell wall. As a result of the absence of cell wall in animal cells, they look irregular in their shape. Due to having a cell wall, plant cell have a regular rectangular shape. አሁን እዚህ ጋር እንደምናየው ስናይ እንደነበረው the plant cell እና the animal cell እዚህ ጋር አሁን they don't have a cell wall. ለዛ ነው ስትራክቸራቸው እዚህ ጋር ክብ ነው oval ነገር ነው። እዚህ ጋር ግን rectangular ነው አይደለ? It's because of the cell wall. The cell wall rigid የሆነ structure ነው። እዚህ ጋር ግን cell wall ስለሌላቸው rigid የሆነ structure የላቸውም ማለት ነው። እሺ let's come to the cell type, shape and size. So not all cells are alike. የተለያዩ ሴሎች አሉ. Even with the within አንድ ሰው ውስጥ red blood cell አለ, white blood cell አለ. እነዚህ different shape አላቸው, they're different type and they're also different shapes and size. እሺ let's talk about the cell type. So there are different type of cells in our body. The red blood cell አለ, the nerve cell አለ, the bone cell አለ. አሁን let's talk about the muscle cell. The muscle cell is a cell that forms a muscle tissue and which is tapered at both ends for easy contraction and relaxation. This is an example of, this is an image of the muscle cell. Another type is the skin cells. So these are the epithelial cells. እና ደግሞ they're thin እንደምታዩት they're thin እና ደግሞ they're flat. Red blood cells ምንላቸው they're very small in size እና ደግሞ they're circular in shape. We have the nerve cell. The nerve cell ምንለው it's a cell that is involved in the transmission of nerve message. እንደምታዩት it's long and it's branched ነው እዚህ ጋር receive ያደርጋል dendrites ምንለው ከዛ በኋላ axon ምንለው አለ this is the cell body ምንለው ነው The next one is the cell shape. So የተለያዩ cell shapeዎች አሉ different unicellular organisms ለምሳሌ different shape ነው ያላቸው ለምሳሌ paramecium ስናየው እንደ ሲሊፐር የሆነ shape ነው ያለው yeast ስናይ yeast ቅድም እንዳየነው they have an oval shape እንዳየነው unicellular ላይ they have an oval shape amoeba ስናየው they're shapeless እንደምታዩት Chlamydomonas የምንለው this is an algae and it's round You may take as a second example of shapes of cell that make our body. A nerve cell is long, branched, skin cell እንዳየነው flat ነው, red blood cell round ናቸው, muscle cell ምንላቸው ደግሞ they have they're pointed at both ends. እና እነዚህ even within ourselves we have different type of cell ማለት ነው with different shapes. So regular shape እና irregular shape. So regular shape ምንለው defined shape ያላቸው ናቸው ብዙ ጊዜ ለምሳሌ in the plants defined የሆኑት because of their cell wall ብለን ተናግረናል The next one is irregular shape. Irregular shape ምንለው ደግሞ cell wall የላቸው ለምሳሌ the animal cell ብዙ ጊዜ irregular shape ናቸው because cell wall የላቸው So the next one is the cell size. So the majority of cells are microscopic in their size. So ብዙ ሴሎቹ they're microscopic, which means በአይናችን ልናያቸው አንችልም. እና ደግሞ they're very small. The eggs of the animals, especially እነዚህ ናቸው ከሌሎቹ አንጻር ስናወዳደር the eggs of the animal cell they're large. And thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel and comment down below for any questions or suggestions you might have. Thank you.